name's Matt Fowler, and I've been cosplaying for about 3 years or so. And because of this, I've decided to go out and find what the deal is with cosplay and what other people think of it, whilst finding out what the community's like for others and how it's changed over the past 5 years. Now I'm going to view that back to see if it looks like I'm looking at the camera.
First off, I interviewed a couple of my friends who also cosplay to see what they had to say about it.
Yes. Yeah, first question. What does cosplay mean to you?
Well, to me, cosplay just means just another way of expressing yourself. It's just I'd say it's like another community, really. Just loads of people just being the character they want to be, whether it's superheroes or anime or like films and TV.
What was your first cosplay, and how does it compare to your cosplays now?
My first cosplay was a really awful Amazing Spider-Man 1 suit. There is a picture of it somewhere, I'm sure there is. But it's a really bad version.
How does it compare to your cosplays now? Like, the process you go through to get the Spider-Man costume?
It's a lot better now, especially quality-wise. And now that I either buy stuff to add to the suits, or just make them in any different way, or getting different patterns from elsewhere. Yeah.
As a whole, how do you think cosplay as an activity has changed over the last few years?
It's definitely got a lot more popular, because I think, more people are now realising it is actually a cool thing to do, as it was probably not seen as that cool in the past. Because some of the same cons I've been to, the attendance is a lot higher than what they were a couple of years ago.
Not being able to pee for several hours. No. It's in the most cliche, cheesy way possible. It's one of the best ways to get close to a character that I have a deep affection for. Ooh, that's a good question. Well, as with anyone, when I was 2002, Spider-Man came out, I bought one of those suits. And I don't mean the spandexy ones, well, Lycra ones I don now. I mean the child's ones with the fake muscles. Yeah, you know what I'm all about. It's got the holes in the mask as well, so you can breathe. Yeah. It was great. And what inspired me to get into cosplay so many years after the fact is since I was 3, I've been obsessed with the character. And in 2013, I saw that Stan Lee was going to be at LFCC, the London Film and Comic Con. And I decided that I'm going to cosplay. I've been to cons before, I've not cosplayed, and I have a passion for this character, and I want to do it. Now, like many cosplayers, I made the mistake of going to a basic Zentai website, and I don't want to swear in this, but I kid you not, there was a phallus on the back of the suit. The red spider that is very well known on the back of the costume was cut in the shape of a member. So my first suit was not a success. However, my second suit, which is that one there, was fantastic, and I wore it, modded it up a bit, put some shoes in it, made the spider darker, and got to meet Stan Lee. So that was my whole bit. The ones I own now are tighter. I don't know if that's I've grown or something. No, the cosplays I do now are a lot more complex. I would show off the Star-Lord helmet and so on, but I've currently lent that out to a friend. Shout out to Stephen. So in the center, that one is my very first face shell. Which can I get up and stand? Can I walk away?
Do what you want.
See, here's where the beauty of cosplay comes in, and I think it says put what you want. This is a children's toy. It's a children's toy that I modified. I fell into another cosplay trap where I spent far too much money on something that I really could have done myself. I paid £90 for the original T-Jack lenses that I modified with putting washers on and magnets on the shell, and I didn't have a hot air gun, so I used a hairdryer to bend the metal. It's not the metal, the plastic. Yeah. I just can tell you can't see anything.
No,
it's incredible.
Yeah.
So, that, in a nutshell, is my first cosplay. And obviously, with time, the technology behind the suits has gotten better. So, on the far end, You've got my latest suit, Homecoming, which was, designed by Brandon Gilbert. Got a shout out to him.
Yeah.
And the colours are deeper, the suit's, again, tighter, and the face shells are a lot less expensive and a lot easier.
Yeah. Definitely.
And as for other cosplays, Star-Lord. Leather jacket and the guns. I'm doing a lot of moving around. I really should have prepared more. Sack the juggler. I don't know what that was. I think I should be worried. I don't know. Is the Star-Lord's element guns from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Now, these are Nerf guns.
They are the Nerf ones, yes.
And I saved the... they still function. If I managed to save the whole mechanism.
That's cool.
But they're painted to look like a film, whereas they started out like...
Hello.
Okay, so we're back. So yeah, they started out like this. They started out as big orange things.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
So
I didn't
not-
realise you had more.
I have one more. Oh.
Ooh.
I want to say definitely more mainstream. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely become a lot more popular. And I think that's a fantastic thing. It means you've got more people coming out in costume. But it also, in a sense, has warped what it was. Now, I definitely one of the culprits of this. I have bought a lot of the stuff I wear. There's next to no hard work at all. There's modding. There's doing tidbits like this, but there's no... I've got a friend called Aaron Wolfhart. I mean, that was his... I mean, he probably changed his last name since then. He's German, so he just made a cool English-sounding one. He took molds of his own face, then spent hours sculpting the shape of with clay to make his own face shell that's accurate to the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And he's put the two together and created his own face shell from scratch. And he's also been doing a screen accurate suit for, I think, like 3 years now, and it looks incredible for the progress.
Yeah.
Screen printed, red and blue four-way stretch lycra. And I think with the influx, cosplay becoming more popular, and as it's changing, it's becoming a lot easier to just buy something that looks good off the shelf. And it's great for creators like yourself who make patterns. It's fantastic. It's like, yes, we can capitalize on this, but I also think it makes those who make their own costumes even better. But it really makes the people who can't afford to buy the better things feel a bit more left out. And of course, cosplay doesn't matter what you look like. You've tried, you've participated, and it's the event that counts, and the pride you take in your own costume. And of course, with time you get better. But I think it can be a bit more intimidating for people who are starting out.
Yeah, definitely.
It really depends on your fan base. Different fan bases are different levels of kindness and welcoming. But I think, in general, the communities are very helpful and they're very welcoming.
Yeah.
And they can get rowdy. Now, for the MCM groups, it's full of a lot of people who just... Everything's a joke. And if you put up anything a little bit too personal or a little bit risque... let's say you're wearing the Spider-Man suit and you're not exactly got the right body type. They will say some not nice things, but in general, and on the whole, the community is quite nice, and the people who do that often get often get put in their place.
Yeah.
Next, I spoke to a couple of professional cosplayers to get their views.
Cosplay means to me dressing up, kind of like a trend lately with a lot of folks, and doing your best, I would say, imitation of maybe your favorite superhero or character or fictional character, anything like that. I really don't go too far into it. I always had a love for makeup, monster makeup, movies, everything like that. So I noticed as I was kind of getting older, out of high school, a little bit out of college, people would have like these house parties and they'd be like, oh, dress up and everything like that. And I would put all this time and effort into it, and no one would care because everybody was drunk. And I was like, well, this is stupid. Like I said, I didn't have like an outlet for anything like that. So I eventually went to Comic-Con in Florida here, and just looking for figurines and stuff, I didn't know people really dressed up. So in 2010, when I kind of realized that, I kind of said, hey, I kind of found my place a little bit. My first legitimate cosplay was Darth Maul. I shaved my head clean, did all the horns and everything like that. Unfortunately, the bathroom was like pink for, I would say, a month. It was red and pink from all the makeup and everything like that. And how does it compare to now? I don't do body paint of any sort. A lot of people say, oh, why don't you do body paint this and, body paint that? It's a freaking mess. Not into it. Somebody else can have that. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed with cosplay changing over the years, it has advanced. I would also want to say, like, I took part in helping that advance, as especially with the Spider-Man thing, with the pushing the fog-free lenses, bettering the shoe mobility and looking neat and everything like that. I definitely think it's advanced, and people are able to take it with like 3D printing and make stuff really look legit, like movie legit, and sometimes probably even better, because half the movies are CG now, so like, people are really kind of pushing the limits on it, which I think is really neat. And it's a positive pastime, it really is. The cosplay community, I think, together as a whole is genuinely fun. I've noticed kind of like a lot of cliques or groups or, kind of snotty or snooty behavior, which I kind of think is kind of funny in a lot of sense. What I try not to do or tell anybody else to do is not pay attention to that. Do you, be you, everything like that. I think that's what kind of catapulted me in it as a male, especially when it's more of a female-oriented kind of thing, when people might want to go like as a professional and everything like that. I think I was just me the whole time over years of doing it and everything like that. So that would be my best advice, as in how the cosplay community, how it is, what I'm saying? And generally, I think you'll probably meet some of the best people in the world. So whatever you're doing, keep it up and hang in there. It'll all pay off eventually, and it's such a positive thing to do. It's not like spending your money on bad, influential things, all right? You guys have a good day, all right? All right, bye.
Cosplay for me is dressing up in a variety of costumes and embodying the character in which I have dressed up as. So there's a lot of guys in the community that I'm in, the sort of, you might say, the higher end, that class themselves as costumers, and they get a bit arsey with the term cosplayer. But for me, because I don't really make any of my costumes, I just class myself as a cosplayer, putting on a costume and then trying as best as I can to become that particular character. I sort of used to do a bit of dressing up years and years ago, and I work in a nightclub, and we used to have a very busy Halloween party every year. So each Halloween I tried to sort of outdo what I'd done the previous year, and I sort of did a lot of prosthetic makeups and stuff like this. I bought a set of Stormtrooper armour about 4 or 5 years ago, just because I fancied wearing one for Halloween. It was terrible and it fell apart and all this kind of stuff. And then about 3 years ago, I was in a relationship with someone who took me to MCM Expo in London. I didn't really know anything about it. Well, I suppose if we class in sort of fancy dress outfits, because I'm quite old, so I mean, if you're classing cosplay as my first sort of fancy dress or my first foray into cosplay, I suppose my first foray into cosplay would be the 7-foot minion. But that wasn't so long ago. So I mean, if I look at some of my older sort of makeups, like the sort of foam latex makeups, I think one time I just got some Snazaroo face paint, painted my entire upper body, got some very cheap fake ears, put those on and spiked my hair up and painted myself green. And then if I compare that now to this is Tarquin, my zombie. I suppose it's come quite a long sort of way, and then with things like my Deadpool and my Spidey, where I'm sort of spending 4 figures on costumes now, it has sort of come a bit of an obsession, really, I suppose. Well, I mean, I've only been in it sort of if you want to call it the cosplay community, for about 3-4 years, and I think it's just now the level of detail and commitment that some people put into it, because I mean, you go to sort of MCMs now and sort of big expos, and you're seeing more and more people dressed in costumes, whether it's one they just bought off like online, like 35 quid because they just wanted to dress up, all the way to the massive sort of Space Marines or the people with the extending wings. Or I mean, I've got a guy who I know who is going to be debuting at MCM, a Johann Kraus from Hellboy 2, which has cost him in the region of £6,000 and is unlike any costume I have seen so far. It is mind-blowing what he has done. Yeah, so that's an interesting one, because any large community of people you have nice parts of the community and you have some not nice parts of the community. My War Machine helmet, this is comes from a full fiberglass suit that cost about £3,000. So it's a beast of a costume. It pretty much is what you see on screen, which has lasted me 2.5 years now and still going strong, which is probably the longest running costume that I've had and the one that really got me into it. So this is getting repaired now and being replaced. Very expensive Deadpool suit from Elfet. So this is just come back from a respray, so it's all been weathered and stuff like that. So that's, all of the expensive on my bike.
Then we went to Joe, who has been hired by Nintendo to cosplay Link from The Legend of Zelda.
Graceful. Elegance and freedom.
Cosplaying for a decade. That's a milestone. And it makes me feel old. But I've loved every minute, and I'm going to cosplay for a good few years to come. And hopefully over time I'm just going to progress and do things like that. But I've always kind of worked in one kind of fashion, and that's kind of working on a budget. It's getting the most out of basic tools and equipment. And I think that's important for cosplay. You don't need to spend a lot of money. You don't need to have a flashy costume, as long as you are wearing something that makes you feel a certain way. That's the important thing about cosplay. And I've been cosplaying Link for 10 years. And now I'm at a point where I'm actually being hired to go to conventions and cosplay as Link. So that's kind of a dream. It's a pipe dream. It's like I've grown up loving the Legend of Zelda series, and now I'm at a point where I'm representing that series and getting paid to stand around in costume, and it's surreal. It is surreal. I don't know how else to describe it. But yeah, it's really good fun, and that has only come from kind of persisting and trying to get better and trying new things, adapting my work style, even though I'm trying to keep it cheap, still experiment with different things.
I'm the middle school kid who puts the bag.
I don't know, it's getting pretty big. I don't think cosplay was as massive when I started, or it didn't feel like it was. But now you go to any event and you see ridiculous costumes, some fantastically detailed, or some that are just kind of technical masterpieces. And a few years ago, you didn't have that. You had your kind of anime costumes, you had your video game costumes, but now everything is coming together. So it's people from all backgrounds and all fandoms that are all experimenting with cosplay now.
Yeah.
My first Link costume was a pillowcase. It was literally a pillowcase that I cut up the sides, and I got another pillowcase that was the same colour, and then that became the hat and the sleeves, and then I just put it together, and that was what that costume was. But now I'm at the point where I'm creating the patterns and kind of figuring out everything properly, or almost. I'm not quite there yet. I need more practice. Even after a decade, I need more practice. But it doesn't matter if you turn up to a convention in a pillowcase. Like, you're still going to have a good time. There are going to be people there that think you've done a great job, and they're going to love seeing you, and that's the most important thing.
After speaking to Joe, we naturally went and did a photo shoot. Finally, we went to our local comic shop to see how cosplay affects sales.
With the increase in popularity of cosplay, how do you think that has affected the popularity of comic books?
Oh, comic books. Oh, crikey. Well, a lot of it stems from, I think, originally, mainly the anime and manga stuff, where the girls are into that anyway. And then that became more mainstream, especially in America, when you think of the Los Angeles Comic Con, which is like the Comic Con, because then you've got professional girls being employed, dressing up as characters to promote those comics or toys lines even as well. And then it just, like, the girls suddenly realized, hey, this is a really good way we can make money doing this ourselves. So they dress professionally now, because I think it's been quite a few years, as different characters. And so, some of them look amazing. And then as a result of that, more and more, like, normal girls, so to speak, and guys who kind of always like to dress up in some of their famous, like, gaming heroes, all that kind of thing, all superheroes, it's become just more and more throughout society. I mean, you're now getting grown women who have never done it. They'll turn up, you know, who usually the sort of demographic, shall we say, that would always poo-poo things like that, you know. But they love it as well. They get dressed up as all their favourite heroines. And then the way that comic and so-called nerdness, which is still revolting sort of expression, has become more acceptable and more mainstream because of movies, like you said, because it's especially, well, when Spider-Man came out, that was just like, wow, that was so good. And then, but when it was Iron Man that did it, because they put proper money behind it, they had a really good actor, and it just worked. Like the bit when you see him fly for the first time, you're just there going, oh, he's so cool. It's just brilliant. And everybody just loved it straight off. And like Junior, you know, what's his name, Downey Jr., he was just so good. And he still is. He's going to always be Iron Man now. Yeah. But yeah, it just made it more acceptable, I think.
Cool. How does the online market affect comic book shop sales?
Well, it's bound to some effect. I mean, we still have most of our own customers. They always come back to us because, you know, they can see it. We get the stuff in, we bag it, and things. But a lot of people will go to the online guys because they can buy masses, and the big ones are just warehouses. So they'll be buying, like the most I buy is Harlequin. I get 30 of her, and we'll have 5 left on the shelf, but they'll gradually go. And if they haven't gone, they've gone up in price. Whereas the other guys, those big warehouses, they'll be buying them in the minimum of 100 issue, and they can just do really good discounts and then, you know, send it out. We just couldn't compete. But it will affect us, but we get a lot of people still, you know, buying stuff because they like it.
Do you find that young people still come into comic book stores, or is it more of the older person or older teens who grew up before the internet influence?
Oh, right, yeah. Yes, originally, yes, it was like that. Mainly older, you know, college guys. So, I mean, we've been doing it quite a while now, so it would have been the older guys. And then gradually, the younger kids are coming into it again now. Especially, like, we get lots more girls, because there's lots of stuff for girls that, you know, people didn't think there was, but there is. But now, there's quite an age group. And we're still getting guys, you know, older guys, and we get a few women as well. But now there's a lot more teenage girls and younger girls who will buy stuff, you know, comics and things off the shelf as well, and they love it. They just really like it. Yeah.
Which sells more, actual comic books or general merchandise?
Oh, crikey. I should think it's probably just mainly merchandise. I mean, I've got, you know, we do sell quite a lot of comics, although I've got far too many on the shelf, but and I do order too many sometimes. But we have certain customers who, you know, well, I got all that, well, I don't know if you can see, but there's boxes of stuff there, which people have got to come in to pick up. Yeah. So every week we have new stuff. Some come in every week, some will come in twice every 2 weeks, or once a month, or 2 months or something. It's like, oh, come in and buy it, you know. So it's still quite good, really. People, you know, still want to come into a shop and get it stuff, and they want to have that interaction with someone who can tell them about stuff or pick up some new stuff or things I'm trying to find, and I can get them things like that, hopefully. Yeah.
The community seems to be highly praised by cosplayers alike. However, there have been incidences where within the communities talked about, there have been a few people being off-putting, insulting others, but the majority seems to be okay for most people. And the thing that struck me the most was the age gap. There was a lot of people, like the people that I interviewed, one was younger than me, so one was 17. Like the oldest one, I'm not sure, but the oldest one I've seen, not the oldest one I've interviewed, the oldest one I've seen is about 65, 66 years old. That's what surprises me, that cosplay is literally for everyone. And the main thing that struck out about the interviews was that every one of them, when I asked what was your advice to other cosplayers, nearly all of them said, just have fun. Just make sure you're having fun, and that's the most important thing.